If you're new to planting tanks and want a plant that's difficult to mess up and just makes your tank easier and more stable, Amazon Frogbit is one of the best places to start. Hello, this is Daniel with Florida Aquariums. This video is the first of many focused on beginner-friendly aquariums, aquatic plants, and microfauna, especially low-budget, low-maintenance setups that are balanced ecosystems. I'd consider myself an intermediate hobbyist with about a year and a half of experience, and it's probably evident, but I'm definitely new to video editing. But the goal here is simple, to make this hobby more accessible and less intimidating. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite beginner floating plants, Amazon Frogbit. Most plants are labeled beginner plants for a reason. They don't need to be optimized, constantly adjusted, or babysat. They tolerate a wide variety or range of conditions and actively improve water quality. You can more or less wing it. Throw them in and they'll find their place and help stabilize whatever you've got going on. Verify wing it just means you don't need to chase perfect numbers. That said, I'll be covering where beginners commonly fail, what parameter ranges work, and what's actually optimal. One of the most standout features of Amazon Frogbit, what really sets it apart from other floaters, is its root system. These roots don't have a defined maximum length. They generally don't drop old roots and replace them like other floaters, unless the plant is stressed. They'll just keep growing, until they hit the bottom of the tank, any tank. And that's why they're a favorite of microfauna. As you can see here, I've got sea shrimp lined up all along the roots in this tiny round glass container. I say container because I don't think it's appropriate to call this a tank. It's a smidge under a gallon. And you'll probably notice as we go along that while I'm very interested in this hobby, I'm also very cheap. Most of my setups are plastic containers, but I did, splurge on this $12 gas display just for this video, just for you. As you could tell, the sea shrimp love this small, balanced, no-maintenance environment built around the Frogbit roots. They're a beneficial and essential part of the microbial food web and a common addition to many planted tank systems. I'll go deeper into sea shrimp and other microfauna in future uploads. Alright, some common beginner mistakes with Amazon Frogbit. Number 1, putting Amazon Frogbit in brackish or saltwater tanks. It's a fully freshwater plant, not good. Don't do that. Number 2, water movement. You don't want water splashing onto the leaves, the top parts. This usually means your air pump or filter is too aggressive. You can split air lines between tanks, bleed excess air with, drip irrigation parts, or modify overhead filters. Anything you can do just so that they don't disturb the surface as much. Lighting. Don't block light with lids or place Frogbit under covered tanks. It needs access to light from above. Just, make sure it has some light. Never let the plants overcrowd the surface. It throws the entire system out of balance. So you want to regularly remove portions. It's often the best way. Frogbit should never look like it's trying to grow over other Frogbit. Just simply remove the Frogbit when that's occurring and you're good. Aggressive fish. If fish are eating or constantly splashing water on top of the leaves, that's no good. That's the same thing earlier with the pump splashing onto the leaves. It's just not good for the plants. They don't like water on the tops of the leaves. They like it underneath. So you either got to move your fish or you got to move the plants. And the last thing is ignoring minimal nutrient needs, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now let's talk parameters. You don't need to memorize these. This is just to show how wide the safe zone actually is. Some non-nutrient parameters: temperature for short-term survival, 50 Fahrenheit to 95 Fahrenheit. Temperature for active growth, 64 to 90 Fahrenheit. Optimally, I'd say 76. pH for short-term survival, 5.5 to 8.4. pH for active growth, 6.3 to 7.6. Optimally 7. Salinity for short-term survival, 0 to 1,000 parts per million or 1 parts per thousand. Salinity for active growth, 0, 0. They like 0. Don't keep these in saltwater tanks. I'm intentionally skipping general hardness and kinetic hardness here. If you're using normal dechlorinated tap water and not messing with reverse osmosis or buffers, Frogbit will handle it just fine. Now for primary nutrient needs. For beginners, unless you're running an extremely heavily planted tank or have a green free floating algae infestation, you really don't need to worry about most nutrients. If you keep fish and feed them regularly, the majority of nutrients are already supplied through the recycled fish food, accumulated waste, assuming reasonable stocking and an established beneficial microbial presence. For beginner plants, the two nutrients that actually matter are nitrates and iron. Nitrates should be checked at least weekly because they're used up quickly. Iron, on the other hand, can be checked bi-weekly. It's commonly overlooked even by experts, but the plants tend to store and reuse iron, so occasional attention still gives really great results. I test nitrates regularly, and these are my suggestions. Nitrates for short-term survival, 1 to 80 parts per meter. Nitrates for active growth, 5 to 30 parts per meter. Optimal nitrates, 10 to 20 parts per meter. 15 to 20 is kind of that sweet spot. Amazon Frogbit is forgiving with nitrates, but 0 isn't your friend. If nitrates consistently bottom us out, growth stalls, leaves yellow, and the plant may slowly melt, even though everything else looks fine. The best natural solution for not enough nitrates is to increase your stocking steadily, like add more fish. Iron deficiency is probably the most common issue I see with Frogbit. You notice pale new leaves, yellowing between veins, or roots that stop exploding downward. The fix is simple, small, consistent dosing of soil-intended chelated iron or aquatic solutions that you purchase. A little now and then goes a long way, especially in low tank setups like this. I like to use the soil-intended chelated iron because it's cheaper. And an important note, if you're using soil-intended iron in tanks that have sensitive fish, you have to dilute the dose before spreading it out evenly, to the tank. I recommend dosing and mixing at least 2 liters of tank or dechlorinated water before adding it to the tank. And this just makes it safe for any sensitive fish. And that's for as low as 5-gallon tanks, it's still safe. Now, your secondary nutrients, and this is important with other plants, but potassium, magnesium, calcium, micronutrients, they're all usually handled passively in beginner tanks. You don't need to worry with these plants. Fish food, waste, tap water, and light stocking cover most of it. This is why Frogbit works so well as a set it and forget it plant if you avoid the earlier mistakes between the nitrates and the iron. Now let's talk about signs your Amazon Frogbit is happy. Thick white to light tan roots that keep growing. Leaves that stay round, firm, and slightly cupped upward, and dark green. Slow, steady reproduction without surface takeover. No constant melting or transparent leaves. And now some signs that your Amazon Frogbit is sad. Roots turning brown, slimy or falling off. New leaves staying tiny or pale. Holes are crisp. Leaf edges, rapid surface takeover followed by a crash. If you hit that last one, overcrowding combined with nutrient balance is usually the cause. And just try to remove some of those plants first. Don't touch the water just yet. One last thing I want beginners to understand, Amazon Frogbit isn't just a floating plant, it's a biological filter. Those roots house bacteria, microorganisms, seed shrimp, copepods, ostracods, microfauna, basically the invisible cleanup crew. When Frogbit is thriving, your system is usually doing pretty well overall. So if you're running a small container, nano tank, or something you're not brave enough to call a tank yet, like me, Amazon Frogbit is one of the best plants you can start with. If you found this helpful, I've got more low budget, low maintenance plant and micro ecosystem videos coming up, including a deep dive into seed shrimp and why I intentionally keep them around. I'm going to put links to the things featured in this video that I've talked about. They're products I actively use and stand by, and they've held up very well in my own setup over the course of a year. If you found this entertaining or informative and would like to support me directly, please check out my Frogbit or many of my other plants and microfauna for sale on Etsy and eBay. Links below. If you'd like to support me indirectly, please like and subscribe. I will be posting a lot more videos like this in the future for beginners to the aquarium hobby. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.